Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I'm so glad you decided to join us this week. I hope that you are enjoying all the different content that we put out, but I am so excited. First of all, if you backed our Kickstarter, that stuff, all the international stuff has been shipped at this point. The domestic U.S. stuff is starting to ship, and it's going out as we speak. So for those of you who backed our Kickstarter, thank you, and hopefully you enjoy the rewards as they go out in different ways. Of course, obviously, if you're like, whoa, I haven't got it yet, well, hang on a bit. We'll give a certain date that says, hey, if you haven't got your stuff, let us know, and we'll try to handle it from there. Secondly, on October 8th, okay, October 8th, that's a Tuesday at noon, we are going to open up Dice Tower registration for Dice Tower East. Now, we originally said October 1st, so I'm just moved it back 1 week because we're still working with the hotels, trying to get different contracts with the hotels so we can have rooms for people coming to this. Dice Tower East is our medium-sized con. That's going to be in Orlando, Florida in July of 2020. We hope you can come. We got a fantastic library of games where it's just going to be lots and lots of open gaming with a few events. We got a fully fledged kids area. And so I know a lot of people have been asking about prices. Pretty simple. Tickets are $125, but nobody should be paying $125 because we'll give you $25 off, $100 only if you use one of our hotels, because using our hotels helps us able to have the convention there. So it's something to be interested in. Keep that in mind. It's going to be 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, October 8th. That's going to open. You can find out more information. We'll be adding it as time goes by at Dice Tower East. Sharon Madden, the Dice Tower East Convention Director, is hard at work putting that together. Lindsay and Nina has a whole team of people working together. This is our first time running that particular con, so realize that we're still working on things, but you can find out information by joining our Facebook group. We are working on other things. Dice Tower West registration is still open. And some of you are saying, are you going to stop talking about conventions? You're right! I am. Let's instead take a look at things I found on the internet this week. Here we go. Okay, so these are things I find on the internet. If you ever have something you'd like me to take a look at, just email it to me at tom@dicetower.com. Some of you send in tips, and sometimes I get multiple tips about the same thing, but here's what I found this time. Some dynamic wargame buildings, a set of 28 millimeters. From what I understand, millimeter is a 6-foot person. And it would be 28 millimeters in that scale. A wargame buildings all featuring movement, battery-powered programmable buildings. That's pretty neat. Nathan from Pandasars Games wrote a really, really good post about the board game quote-unquote bubble. People are always asked, do you think we're in a bubble? Well, here's a publisher giving you his best answer to that. It's very well written. For someone who says at the beginning, he's like, well, I'm going to kind of ramble here. It felt very focused to me. Somebody, I'm sure Wingspan expansions are on the way eventually, but someone made a whole set of custom cards for birds all over the world if you can't wait, and I found a link for that on Board Game Geek. Speaking of Board Game Geek, the biggest website on the internet, they made a change to their mechanisms. I've been kind of annoyed at the mechanisms on Board Game Geek. There's mechanisms and categories, and sometimes the mechanisms are in the categories, and it's a bit of a jumble. Well, they went to someone who's part of Dice Tower, Jeff Engelstein, who has written a book on this, and he used categories, he divided games into multiple categories along with his co-host. And so Board Game Geek is adapting those categories. Now, it's going to take, there's a few problems with how this is going down. One is it's going to be a convoluted process. It's a user process. They're not getting rid of the old categories and themes, which I wish they would. Just wipe those out and start over again. It's going to take a while for everyone to go in and populate what games are what, and I'm sure there will be disagreement. But once all that's done, it's going to be fantastic, I'm sure. They are using codes for each one, and they're putting the code before the name. I really dislike that. I think the codes are great behind the scenes. For the users, I think it makes the website more intimidating if you're a new user, although probably new users aren't using this anyway. Okay, I saw 2 new board game cafes are opening. One, the Good Game Grill. That's in Rhode Island. Some fantastic looking food pictures there. And the Queen and Rook opened up in Philadelphia. So if you have in those areas, we see more and more board game cafes opening up. Steve Tassi, who used to do a segment on Board Game Breakfast with Snakes and Lattes, has his own channel called The Board Game Guru. So if you want to see more of him, that's where you'd want to go to find that out. ESPN.com did a story on the Grandmaster diet, or talking about how stressful chess is that it actually makes you lose calories while playing. I don't know about all the science behind this, but hey, if you want an article that proves you're losing weight playing games, go for it. This one I found fascinating. I wish I was in Wilmington. Cape Fear Games in Wilmington bought or won the rights to the estate of Darryl Rubin, who sadly passed away, who has been collecting games forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and has huge amounts. They say it's $1 million collection. So they're going to be auctioning it off and selling it off. There's things like, there was an ivory chess set I saw in the picture, and they're like, well, we thought it was illegal, but it's not illegal because it's not elephant ivory, it's mammoth ivory. What? All kinds of games. This guy had been collecting games for a long time, so it's, sad to see a collection like that break up, but at the same time, good to see it will go to the people. Kickstarter is in a little bit of a controversy. They fired some people who then turned around and accused Kickstarter of firing them because they were starting a union. Kickstarter said they didn't. That didn't stop the internet from taking sides haphazardly. We certainly don't have enough information on this. Some people are talking about boycotting Kickstarter. That will happen, I'm sure. But at this time, it is an unknown thing. So if you've heard one side or the other, there really isn't any proof out there either way. A truck carrying dice for games spilled on a highway and dropped thousands of dice. So that's really sucks, to drop all those dice, although it leads to a whole lot of jokes, and it is interesting to see people picking up dice with brooms and dustpans and such. So there you go, the biggest rolling of dice in history. And then this is an old video, but if you want to see some really cool stuff, Adam Savage went to Weta and found a Workshop Sculptors tabletop miniature world, which is just absolutely fascinating and mind-blowing. That's stuff I found on the internet this week. I'll see y'all in about a few minutes, I guess.
Randy and Ellen, we game together.
It's your turn.
Ooh.
Hi guys, I am Randy.
I'm Ellen. We are We Game Together.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about a game that is currently in Kickstarter, right?
Right now,
yeah. And from everyone that I've heard from who's gotten a chance to play it, people are pretty much raving about it, and we have good things to say as well. We're talking about Moonrakers. Space-themed negotiation game. So fun.
Excellent. Yeah, you can go onto missions, and it's kind of got a little bit of a cosmic encounter feel to it. You can go on to a mission by yourself and try to achieve it with like building up your deck. And so it's got some deck building aspects to it. And you build that deck by completing more missions, and you get money for that. And then you can buy crew cars and upgrade tiles for your ship. Mm-hmm. And that'll give you all these different symbols, essentially, that you need to go on to these missions.
Yeah.
But if you can't do it by yourself, or don't want to for whatever reason, you can invite any number of people you want to join you.
Which is the negotiation, which I absolutely love. I didn't realize that I love that mechanic until I played this game. It's so fun. And actually, there are some cards that have you try to complete missions on your own. And so kind of everyone's trying to get involved, and you're like, no, I got this. And you kind of be like, oh.
Right, there's different difficulties. So there's some that are quite a bit easier to beat. And if you have a kind of fairly well-rounded deck from just, damage and shields and all these different things, because there's damage dice, lots to this game. Not complicated, but lots to it. And you are ultimately trying to do like the really powerful missions that'll give you 3, 4, 5 points, so that you can really shoot up the track. Because first person to 10 points wins.
Yes, it's a short track, and I thought it was going to be like a super speedy game, but it actually kind of took time by the time you got done talking things out and deciding what you're going to do.
And it's completely open negotiation. As far as what's on the card. So anything that's on the card as far as rewards go, you can split them any which way you want. You have to roll damage dice. So then you can even negotiate who's going to take those. 2 to 1 person, 1 and 1, whatever it is. So just open negotiation, which is neat. Yeah. Now you need a group that can do that. Open negotiation can definitely fail if you don't have the right group. But I mean, that's kind of how every game is, but I think especially with open negotiation.
Yeah. Plus I won, so that was really fun.
She won because everybody ganged up against me and King
We totally did. I was like, guys, he's going to win in the next round. Just let's do this. And they boosted me up and I won.
Guys, we will see you next time.
I talked about roll and write games a lot because I enjoy them so much. Today, I have Encore, designed by Inga and Marcus Brand, originally published as normal, coming up. Hi, it's Stella from Meeple University. In Encore, the goal is to fill up your color as much as possible to score the most points. Each round, the active player rolls 6 dice and pick a combination of color in number and mark that number of color in their player sheet, taking the chosen 2 dice. All other non-active players then choose from the other 4 dice any combination they like, and each non-active player can choose the same any combinations from those 4 dice. Then mark the color on their player sheets. Then the next player clockwise is the active player. There's small rules differences for the first 3 turns, but I won't cover it here. You want to cover as many stars as possible, as each star uncovered is negative points at the end of the game. You want to cover your columns as fast as possible to get the better score. There are a wild number of colors that you can use, but they cost you points to use. The first player to cover all of that one color gets 5 points. All other players on subsequent rounds get only 3 points. The color that players can cross must start from the middle column, then next adjacent boxes. Game ends immediately after the turn in which at least one player succeeds in getting their second color bonus. Player with the highest point wins. Well, thanks for watching. We are Meeple University on YouTube. Until next time.
So what's coming from the Dice Tower this week? Well, I'm going to be taking a look at the new expansion for War Chest, the expansion for Shards of Infinity. I'll be taking a look at Deep Blue, the new game from Days of Wonder, Ragusa, the new Las Vegas, We Rate Dogs, Die Hard, the board game. So there's some of those. We have another top 10 list coming out for you at the end of the week. Our top 10 horror-themed games as we go into October at the end of the week. So you have that to look forward to. And I'll probably do a couple more small top 10s as the week goes by. And we have a live play of Moonrakers going up on Tuesday. I'll be doing a Q&A later today. There's a podcast from Mandy and Suzanne coming up. Also, if you've missed this, each Thursday, or not each Thursday, but every other Thursday, Eric and I record the Dice Tower, the audio podcast. We are now streaming that live on Facebook. So if you're not part of our Dice Tower Facebook group, you can jump in here and you can watch and even ask questions. I communicate a little bit with people who are watching the podcast live. That's around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in a Dice Tower Facebook group. We do have Facebook groups for all our different events and the Dice Tower itself, so join those for great conversation. Let's keep moving.
Hi, we're Board Game Opinions. I'm Steve.
I'm Amy.
I'm Mark. And I'm Jonathan.
And we're now having a go at a picture quiz. These guys have each got set a problem by me. They have a picture. They've got to try and work out what board game related thing connects the 3 pictures, but the key bit is they can't show each other the pictures, they have to describe it. We're going to see how they do when they call me back.
Okay, let's look. I have a cityscape, like a downtown, I'd say New York. I think it might be Japanese, so I'm guessing downtown Tokyo I've got
a magician's hat and there's a wand.
And I think it's Dave from Garfield.
The man from Garfield, who owns Garfield.
Yes.
Okay. And now he's called John.
John. Oh, yeah. It's not the Dave from the Chipmunks. But yes, it is. It is the older of Garfield. Now Garfield.
It's just him by himself, is it? There's
yes.
No Garfield.
No Garfield.
Okay.
But Richard Garfield.
Ooh.
Does.
What have you got again, Amy?
Magician's hat.
Magic.
Yeah.
But I've got Tokyo.
So is it Rich?
Right, hang on. So Richard Garfield did King of Tokyo.
Okay. He did
and
Magic.
Richard Garfield did Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, is it just...
And
I think you did well spotting the Garfield thing on that. Alright, I think we're going to go for that. So we're going for
good.
Richard Garfield.
Yeah.
Steve!
They seem pretty confident. Do you think they've got it right? They did. Another quick answer there. They got, thankfully, Mark, he didn't get the name of the person right, but he got the name of the cat right, and then he went, ooh, and then it was all over from there. Did you get that at home from the clues given? Would you like another one? Hopefully we'll see you again with another one next time.
Bye.
Bye. Hi everyone.
Hi.
My name is Dave Luza.
I'm Ilka Luza, and these are
The Essentials,
where we give you general and specific information about the Essen Spiel Fair.
Yes, today we're talking about the fair itself. When does it open? When does it close? Ilka, when does it open?
It opens at 10 and it closes at 7. It really will open at 10. In the previous years, they opened the doors earlier because of the crowds, but this year there's more entrances. So
they've got an electronic system now, so they're not punching every card. They bleep, and you should be able to go through.
They bleep, and you get a wristband, and you go in.
Yeah.
And it really closes at 7. So what do you do after?
You go home to your hotel room all sad, and that the day is over, and you probably punch out your board games. Because there's nothing really planned outside the fair. There's no big hotel that everyone goes to. It's just, if you're lucky, your own hotel might have one cloakroom set with a table to play a game. But don't expect that. There are some events during the fair, but not as much as you would expect from a fair this size. I know Portal has got something planned about the history of Portal. They did it last year. They're going to do it again. The Dice Tower has another live show, probably. I must say, I'm not sure on that yet.
There is one special event going on Friday the 25th, and that's the panel for educators, for teachers.
Yes. Experts in board games, but also experts in education are coming in and talk about, and you can join and see how games can help you teach things and how kids or students can learn more through board games. I think that's an awesome new idea the Messe is offering this year.
Something else that is new is that the trading is going to go down, not outside. You know, when we stood outside in the wind and the rain.
Yeah, the no shipping Essen auction and the no shipping Essen math trade, where the computer figures out if you give this game, who is going to give you the game that you want. The exchange used to be outside, in the cold, in the rain, with mostly people from the fair just saying, go away!
Security would send you away. It was very undignified. It was not nice. This year it's going to be really nice, because it's in Hall 7.
Yes.
And it's every day at 3 p.m.
And the timing here is important because everyone is expected to be at noon, but it's not. It's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
We just learned that. So you have to haul around the games you want to sell all day. But hey, that's the price you pay.
Yes. But now it's part of Spiel, which I think is a nice idea. This is it for today. Thanks for watching. My name is Dave Luza.
I am Ilka.
Keep your questions coming. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so what's going in the Dice Tower library this week? Well, for the kids' library, I got Code Stack, The Three Little Pigs, Elementos, and Sardines, as well as Mission Xcode, all from Amiibo, as long as Clax categories. It's kind of a cool magnet-style game. Now, for the adults, we have Samurai. It is a classic game, and Tigers and Euphrates. Both of those need to go in the library. And we got Herbaceous and Sunset Over Water. Glad to see all those going into the library. From Ape Games, we got The Great Dinosaur Rush. For our kids' library, we got Duck Duck Go, Rolling Freight. Excited about that. Some more kids' games. Woolly Chop Chop. For the adults, Petrichor. Yeah. All right, but that's not all. There's still more games coming. We got Spirits of the Rice Paddies. For the kids' library, we have The Mysterious Forest. We also have Herbaceous Sprouts, Command and Colors Medieval, and Kansas Pacific. Then we have Wayward going into the library. And for our kids' library, Tempura, Animove, and then finally, Tapestry. That might get played. We'll see.
What's up everyone, my name is Melissa McCack, and this is Smashing Buttons and Slamming Cards. This is a segment where I talk about a video game I love, and I connect it to a board game I love. And this week, I want to talk about No Man's Sky, the video game, for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. In No Man's Sky, it is a sandbox-style game where you could do so many different things that you want to do. You can explore outer space, you can explore all sorts of different kinds of planets, and gather all kinds of different resources on these planets. And with those resources, you can build a home base, or maybe you could sell them to gain profit in order to buy all sorts of different ships and weapons and things like that. There's even some storyline elements within the game where you could take on missions and things like that. And I want to connect that to Xia, Legends of a Drift System. Xia is a game where it's another sandbox-style game, and you're exploring outer space and all sorts of different planets, and you can do pretty much whatever you want. You could be a pirate, you could be someone who's lawful, you could be a tradesperson, okay? And pretty much what you're trying to do is gain fame points, and by the end of the game, whoever has the most fame points wins. But sometimes you get so caught up in all the sandboxiness of it all, and you completely forget the fame points. It is zany, it's quirky, and I love it. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.
Hi everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
Alright, today we are dusting off an oldie but a goodie. This is Puerto Rico.
But before we do, we like to bridge the gap between health and games. One of the things that I'm striving to do is walk my daughter to school. It's about a half mile and it does two things. One, I get to spend that little bit of extra time with her. And then two, I feel like it's really good for kids to burn off a little bit of energy in the morning before they have to sit down in school all day.
One thing that's kind of helped me with my weight loss is I have gotten a Fitbit. What I do is I kind of just track myself, and as I go on and on, I just kind of look at the averages, try to do better and better, challenge myself to get more steps in, helps the movement, helps me burn more calories, and it's a lot of fun too. So I encourage you guys, if you have any way of getting a hold of a fitness tracker, give it a shot. It's a lot of fun and might help you out too.
Puerto Rico for me is the game that didn't get me into the hobby. Puerto Rico is the game that solidified me in the hobby. We got it early on and it was the game that made me realize this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, this is one of those classic Euros. It just does everything so smoothly, between all the different roles that you can choose, the way that you get a benefit, but everybody else gets a secondary, smaller turn as well. It's just a ton of fun. It's super well balanced, a lot of different player counts. We have a lot of fun with this one.
I do have one quibble with this game though, and it's that I enjoy it so much that when I'm trying to leave to go to bed at the end of the game night, and people are like, hey Bethany, you want to play Puerto Rico? And I'm like, yes.
Yes, I do. Many an hour of sleep has been lost
Many an hour
because of Puerto Rico.
But if you want to hear our full thoughts on Puerto Rico, go ahead and check out our full review on YouTube.
Yes, we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. You can find us on YouTube and on Facebook.
All right, well, this is Ryan. I'm Bethany, encouraging you to play games, live healthy, and create moments. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
I'm a jack of all trades and master of none. I've heard that happen, and people tell me that a lot. I'm not sure I like the idea of that. I would rather be a master of something than be kind of good at a lot of little things. That's not very possible. But let's bring that into the board game world. So for me specifically, in my life, there are some things I just have cut out. One of those is role-playing games. I like role-playing games. I think the idea is fantastic. Miniature games, I like those too. But I can't do miniatures and role-playing games and board games effectively. So I've cut role-playing games and miniature games out of my life. I dabble with them maybe occasionally or see them occasionally, but for the most part I've cut them out so that I can do board games and talk effectively about board games. Now some people have taken this even more to a very focal point. I know there's a party game cast, there's heavy cardboard, who does just heavy games. There are people who do very specific things. There are podcasts about a single game. And those people who do those will be vastly more knowledgeable than I am because I'm kind of doing the omni-gamer thing where I'm talking about dozens and dozens of games. I review 10 to 12 games every week. And so if I'm doing that, there's going to be, my level of knowledge is going to be more surface. However, at the same time, my level of knowledge about board games is deeper than somebody who's even more far and just talking about tabletop in general, and that even more so than someone who kind of just casually looks at it. So that can be a tough thing. I really believe in learning. And I always want to get better at various things throughout my life. I play the piano a little bit. And when I was a kid, my parents made me practice the piano every day. And I did practice, not every day, but I practiced a lot. And I'm no pianist, I'm no great player of the piano, but I can play the piano okay, right? If I sat down, I'm like, hey, and I can play you a tune. Not great, but I can play a little bit. And I'm glad for that. But I don't practice the piano anymore. I could if I wanted to. But I am practicing board games. It's my job, obviously, to be a reviewer, and people say, oh, what you do is you sit around and you play board games all day. Well, no, but I read about board games all the time. I do this thing at the beginning of the episode now where what I found on the internet this week, and some of the stuff there, like the Pandasaurus thing, that's really useful stuff, and I read that. I read lots of Facebook threads, I read Twitter, I read articles, I read comments, I read about board games. I try to learn as much as I possibly can. Now, there's too much, right? It's basically me studying the encyclopedia or Wikipedia for a specific topic exam, but I'm trying to have a cursory knowledge of as much stuff as I possibly can. And I think that's an important thing for me to do. Now, sometimes you'll see on our show, someone will mention something, and I'll go, I don't know anything about that. Well, sure, because there's only so much you can have, but I'm trying to focus on board games as a whole and keep my knowledge of that high. And many of the segments and things we do help with that. Because I do crowd surfing every other week, when we do a crowd surfing, I sit there and go, okay, I'm going to learn about these Kickstarters. Because I run a Dice Tower Digest, the news each Thursday, I look at the Dice Tower news and learn about that. You say, great, Vasel, thanks for talking about your life. How does that come to you? Well, I always am curious what people are looking for when they learn about board games. Some people want to pick one game and know that game. Lifestyle games, chess, Magic the Gathering, Go. Some game where that's the game that you read about. You write in the forums, you learn about that game. Other people kind of pull back in scope and know a lot about either a publisher and all that publisher games. I know about the Tiny Epic games. I know about the Alea Bookshelf games. I know about Knizia games. I'm really good at anything Terranoth. Some people go out to a genre. I know a lot about war games. I know a lot about collectible card games. And then you can zoom out a little bit more, and then you get to where I'm at, and then you can zoom out more. So when it comes to that, where are you zoomed out to? Where's your macroscope? And what do you prefer? Do you prefer to zoom in and look at one particular tenet, one thing, one game, you focus on that game and everything else is kind of dust in the wind? Or do you pull out and you know a lot about a small subculture? Or, of course, maybe you don't care at all and you're just waving around, I'll just learn about stuff in general. Or maybe you go back and forth. For a while you look at this, for a while you look at that. For a while you go back to here. I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. And so you have to figure out where your limits are. And for me, my limits are board and card games. I look at miniatures, I look at other things, and I'm interested in it. But I don't put a lot of effort into that because I know what my limits are. And board games are already pushing that to some degree. What about you?
Hey everyone, welcome to Mental Health Minute. And this week I want to talk about types of gamers. We've been talking a lot about that on the Dice Tower with the awesome segments at the beginning of Board Game Breakfast. So the types of gamers, there are certain types of gamers that bother others more than other types, as I've seen in the comments in all the sections. And there's people like the quarterbacking gamer who always tries to tell everyone what to do, the speed gamer who just goes there the turn in 2 seconds and expects you to catch up. But like my particular one that I have trouble dealing with is the rules lawyer, someone who's always in between turns, picking up the rule book, looking through it, making sure everything's on point and 100% and distracting everybody from that and not engaging as much and not enjoying themselves as much. That type of one bothers me. So what I've come to realize is after a certain amount of time, I have to just breathe and accept that there are gamers like this and there are people like this, and I don't want to change their experience any more than they want to change mine. And it's hard to look at it from that perspective because on paper it's just annoying. It's frustrating. So that can be a really hard thing to move around. Is there a type of gamer that you really are particular about, that you don't like and that you have trouble working with? Some with cell phones even. How do you address that issue to them? Do you address that while you're frustrated, or before the game even starts, or during the game, or after the game? There are many different ways to look at how to approach people like this, and it's very easy to kind of tip the balance the wrong way and get them upset based on what you're saying and make the relationship in the game more awkward for everyone involved. So how do you deliver that message? And how have you done it in the past? Have you made mistakes? Have you succeeded? Let me know in the comments below. And until then, do enjoy your breakfast.
Hi, I'm Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken, and this is Dead Last, a segment I do sometimes here. Hello, nice to see you. I would argue that games are getting better. There are always those games that are old that I absolutely love, you know, and we all have those games in our lives. But I would say, maybe on a whole, the games are getting better. There's less games that are just absolutely terrible. There are obviously some, by that I mean many. But I would certainly argue that games are getting better. But I find myself liking new releases less and less. So, what does that say about me? That's the real question. Because as years go on, the fewer games I'm really interested in or blown away by. I was looking at my shelf at the games I had from 2018, and it's not many. And the games I've already collected from 2019, it's not many. I mean, Essen is coming up, or maybe I've been. Who knows when this will be released? I just feel, maybe I just like the older style of games, or maybe I'm just think I'm cool. That's definitely a possibility, isn't it? But would you say that games are getting better? Would you say that you like less games now than ever before? Is it fewer? I never know. Let me know in the comments below. I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye.
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Thanks so much for watching. Okay, so I talked about Dice Tower East registration coming up, but I would like to talk to you about our channel. We put out lots of different videos each week. We have lots of different things that we plan to go all the time. And even though we are working on our conventions, obviously, right now I'm not working on a convention. We got Essen coming in the future. We got PAX Unplugged after that. But right now we want to work and make our channel as good as we possibly can for you. We got a lot of great reviewers and a lot of great shows. You might say, oh, I never watched Dice Tower Tonight, or I never watched one of Brian's reviews or one of Stella's playthroughs. Check them out. I think you'll enjoy them. There's a lot of great stuff to see. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each